Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. It took Luo Feng more than a month to arrive at the Yin Fa secret region. It was in a remote place of the universe, and was one of the most dangerous secret regions in the universe. It was as dangerous as the Ancestral God secret region, but Yin Fa secret region was only as large as the Black Dragon Mountain starfield, which was much smaller than the Ancestral God secret region. Inside an unremarkable spaceship stood Luo Feng, gazing at the space in the distance. The destination is right in front of me. Craftsman Star. Masters was Shan, who told me a long time ago that finding the black metal is a task for me. He frowned. Other great beings might not know my skills, but Masters was Shan Ku is an exception. He knows all my power. Perhaps it will be dangerous this time. A golden horned beast that was about 3 feet tall appeared with his wings open. I'll leave all my valuables with my golden horned beast body, Luo Feng said. He turned around and saw golden horned beast floating there. Remote ocean body, Mosha body, and I will go to Craftsman Star. Even if I fail, I'll just lose some energy. Go. Luo Feng teleported himself out of the spaceship, and Mosha body showed up. Mosha body teleported all three of them more than 3,000 light-years farther, and arrived at the destination, while the golden horned beast body stayed in the spaceship with all the true treasures. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Many enormous space whirlpools swirled everywhere. A 30-foot tall towering being stood in the space. It was the remote ocean body of Luo Feng. After all, his original earthling body had gathered too much fame, and Mosha body was too weak. It would be better for remote ocean body to act alone. The legendary Craftsman Star, Luo Feng said as he gazed at the space in the distance. Here, there was a vast ocean with tens of thousands of space whirlpools. There was a gigantic star in the depths. It was the Craftsman Star, Luo Feng's destination. Craftsman Star was an outrageously large star that could have only existed in one of the universe's secret regions. It had a diameter of 1.9 trillion miles. Although it was unusual for such a gigantic star to exist, there were many others of such size. They were simply unknown. The reason the Craftsman Star was well known was the great being living on the star, a universe master named Craftsman. He was a powerful universe master who was a mountain special life form. He had been born to craft weapons and had loved making them even back when he was weak. Throughout the years, he had kept making breakthroughs, devoting an eternity to making weapons until he was considered the best weapon maker in the universe. Shan Ku's ability to make true treasures was obscure. And this identity made him stand out among all the great beings in the universe. Craftsman was able to make top-tier true treasures. There were 2 other great beings who could make top-tier true treasures, and the reason for Craftsman's superiority over those 2 was the Craftsman Star. The Craftsman Star itself was a top-tier, flying palace-type true treasure. Craftsman didn't belong to any power. The Ancestral God School had tried to appeal to him, as well as many other superpowers in the universe, but to date, he hadn't joined any power yet. For one thing, he was mighty, possessing many true treasures. Hence, it was nearly impossible to kill him. For another, he was proficient in crafting true treasures. This placed him at a level close to many supreme beings. As a result, nobody dared to attack him. A maniac, thought Luo Feng. Only a maniac can go this far on this path. He gazed at Craftsman Star in the distance. He consumed so much material, just to turn a star into a flying palace-type, top-tier true treasure. Luo Feng flew toward that star, sometimes teleporting himself. The countless space whirlpools around Craftsman's star were natural wormholes. There were 98,200 in total, and only a portion of them led to safe areas. Others led to extremely dangerous places. A tablet, said Luo Feng. As he got closer, he saw floating tablets in front of 2/3 of the whirlpools. One tablet after another. Most of them were labeled dangerous. Some read forbidden, and there were 2 with off-limits written in bloody script. Those whirlpools without tablets might lead to safe districts, thought Luo Feng. As for dangerous, forbidden and off-limits. Luo Feng looked at one of the 2 tablets with off-limits written on it. The power emanating from the words intimidated Luo Feng. Only universe masters could write such things. Rumor has it that there are 98,200 natural wormholes around Craftsman's Star, and 2 of them lead to places that are supposed to be off-limits. Thought Luo Feng. Almost everyone who has gone in there has died. However, according to the information in the Hong Alliance, there are great beings who have survived the whirlpools. But they refuse to talk about the off-limits places. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In time, Luo Feng passed by all the wormholes and arrived in the sky above Craftsman's Star. The great universe master craftsman is generous and friendly, and he isn't as aloof as most universe masters. He favors special life forms. So many special life forms in Yin Fa secret region moved to Craftsman's Star and live a peaceful life on the star. Luo Feng Dove. Craftsman's Star. A peaceful place with no killings. Many great beings come here for true treasures, and many come here to learn how to make true treasures. Luo Feng flew through the clouds and landed. He took a step, moving 6 million miles forward. He had gathered information about the star before he came. The residents on Craftsman's Star were special life forms. Some of them were undying, and some of them were universe knights. Though there were numerous powerful beings, the star remained peaceful. I can sense it. The black metal is calling me. Luo Feng moved forward, and the original earthling body in his world ring could sense the black metal, just as when he had obtained the second black metal. Not even the world ring was able to cut off the attraction. That direction. Luo Feng raced toward it. Asterisk 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 asterisk. As he traveled, Luo Feng witnessed many special life forms having fun, some of whom were a rare sight in other areas of the universe. Sector Lords, undying fighters. Luo Feng even saw a universe knight-level special life form. A streak of green light flew at Luo Feng. It was an energy body with a pretty face. Where did you come from, outsider? The being demanded. Are you here to learn how to make true treasures from Craftsman Master? Luo Feng smiled. I do, but I heard that the standards are pretty high. The green light flew beside Luo Feng. They are. There are always great beings coming here, who want to be a student of Craftsman Master. Many have failed. Craftsman Master has 182 disciples in total. Luo Feng smiled, nodded, and moved forward using teleportation. The green light easily followed Luo Feng. Have you ever been to Craftsman's Star? The green light asked. Do you know where the Craftsman Mountain is? Ha ha. Luo Feng smiled without giving anything away. After all, he was being drawn by the 4th black metal, and he was certain that the black metal was in that direction. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Luo Feng walked for half an hour before arriving at Craftsman Mountain, during which he continued talking with the green light. Luo Feng learned a great deal during the half-hour conversation, including that the green light was called Bo Ni Sho, and had moved to Craftsman's Star with her race a long time ago. According to Bo Ni Sho, she knew almost everything about the star, and she saw great beings coming here for true treasures all the time. That's Craftsman Mountain, Bo Ni Sho said, pointing in the distance at a towering mountain piercing the clouds. Craftsman Master lives on the mountain, and his disciples come down to gather material often. See. There are many buildings on the mountain. Most were built by great beings of other races. After all, Craftsman Master rarely shows himself, as they are not qualified to be greeted by him. They can only wait for the moment when Craftsman Master comes out and tests his disciples. That's when they go and ask for true treasures. With every word, Bo Ni Sho grew more excited. Luo Feng nodded. He concentrated on the Craftsman Mountain, and he could feel a strong attraction even with the world ring in the middle. The original earthling body could feel every cell of his body exhilarated by the fourth black metal in that Craftsman Mountain. He put the fourth black metal in Craftsman Mountain. That's where Craftsman Master lives. Luo Feng frowned. I can't get a black metal from a universe master no matter how strong I am. Luo Feng considered. Bo and I flew around Luo Feng and said, aren't you here to learn how to make true treasures from Craftsman Master? Look, there are some universe knights groveling over there. Just go join them. If you're sincere enough and have the potential to create true treasures, Craftsman Master will admit you as his disciple. The towering Craftsman Mountain shot up through the misty clouds. At the foot of the mountain, several hundred great beings of different races knelt. At first glance, Luo Feng could recognize a third of them as universe knights. The rest were undying great beings. Close to 200 universe knights kneeling, Luo Feng said to himself. The ability to create true treasures must be extremely desirable. Hey! Why aren't you going? Bo Ni Sho, who was beside Luo Feng, asked out of curiosity. I do desire to learn. Luo Feng smiled and lowered his eyes to look at Bo Ni Sho. I certainly do want to learn the legendary skill of the Craftsman Master. However, I am not confident. Therefore, I'm here more for satisfying my curiosity, to take a look. They are all here to try their luck, said Bo Ni Sho. Out of these 500 or more candidates, it will be a generous intake if 2 or 3 are accepted as disciples. She pointed to the crowd of great beings of different races on their knees. These great beings, either in the life form of energy, flesh and blood, or rock, were all down on their knees. All waiting wordlessly. How long have they been kneeling? Luo Feng asked. Waiting till the Craftsman Master appears, Bo Ni Sho said lightly. Kneeling for thousands of years, or even tens of thousands of years is commonplace. But the longest wait has yet to exceed 100 centuries. If one does not even have the perseverance to kneel for a long period of time, one is not worthy to learn the skill of making true treasures. Luo Feng nodded. I can't accompany you any further, said Bo Ni Sho. I'm heading off to visit my friend. She danced around Luo Feng before flying off into a deep blue building. Luo Feng looked up at the towering Craftsman Mountain as he made his way toward it. So many different races, he said. He looked at the many buildings of different styles located quite a distance away. These numerous ancient buildings were abodes that great beings had constructed while here to seek an audience with Craftsman Master. The majority were vacated, but a sizable number of them were still occupied by great beings. They might be great beings from other races who are here to seek treasures, Luo Feng said to himself. The fourth black metal board can be found on Craftsman Mountain. Craftsman Master is on that mountain. Given his power, how am I going to obtain the fourth black metal board? Even if I did manage to steal it, Craftsman Master controls the space and time here. He could catch me easily. He gazed up at the mountain. How am I going to obtain it? While thinking, Luo Feng walked on, not realizing that he had already reached the foot of the mountain. Stop! My friend, stop! A deep and melodious voice called out. Luo Feng turned to look. Amid the crowd of over 500 universe knights and undying great beings, a handful looked over. Among them, there was a being with 4 hooves and a human body over 1,000 feet tall. He was watching Luo Feng with 3 golden eyes, and in a melodious voice, he said, My friend, Craftsman Mountain is where Craftsman Master and his disciples reside. Any other great beings without prior permission from Craftsman Master will not be able to enter the region. Entering without consent would be showing disrespect to Master. Oh, said Luo Feng with a smile. Thank you. I was too engrossed in my thoughts. Are you also here for the purpose of asking Craftsman Master to take you in as his disciple? The being shifted its gaze downwards to look at Luo Feng. Although he was kneeling, he was still taller than Luo Feng. Just curious, Luo Feng said. If there is hope for me to become a disciple, I will work hard. At the same time, Luo Feng found himself wondering, what kind of life form does the knight belong to? Based on what he could recall, there was not a single race with a description that matched. That's right. Golden Eye Knight said with a laugh. As long as there is hope, we should never give up. I am already able to make ordinary treasures, and before coming here, I was filled with confidence. However, upon arriving, I realized that when compared with the extraordinary geniuses from the many races of the universe, where everyone is so adept at making weapons, I am inadequate. You see that being of the demon race over there? He may only be undying, but at his level, he is already capable of making ordinary treasures. His chances of being chosen to be Craftsman Master's disciple is far higher than mine. Luo Feng was dumbfounded as he looked over. Also kneeling was a beast that resembled a golden-haired ape. It had a weaker aura, an aura that was only at the undying level. Undying, yet able to make ordinary treasures. Luo Feng blinked in disbelief. Geniuses. They really are an omnipresent existence. Luo Feng sighed to himself. Golden Eye Knight sighed too, then said, in the ancestral god's secret region, I am an honorable weapon master, but when I arrived here, I realized how lacking my skills were. Our unique life forms may seem very capable, but when it comes to making weapons, we are not in an advantageous position. You see, these undying beings, at their level, are already being brought by the great beings of their races to this Yin Fa secret region, the Craftsman Star. If they hadn't possessed a certain level of skills, would they dare come here? These few hundreds of undying beings. I suppose the majority are already able to make pseudo-treasures. Pseudo-treasures. Luo Feng was baffled. What level would a pseudo-treasure be at? It seemed there were some terms known only among weapon masters, or at least unknown to someone like Luo Feng. That's all right. I'm not here to try my luck at being a disciple, Luo Feng continued. Then he muttered under his breath, if I were to do so, I would only embarrass myself. You should give it a shot, Golden Eye Knight laughed. Craftsman Master has very stringent requirements when it comes to selecting disciples. Although talent matters, there are many other factors also taken into consideration. So long as you possess some skill in making weapons and you can make a pseudo-treasure, who knows? You might be lucky enough to become a disciple of Craftsman Master. Take me, for instance. I have been persistent all this while. I am just curious, Luo Feng repeated. Just curious, that's all. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Luo Feng immediately left the area packed with over 500 geniuses skilled in making weapons, all sincerely hoping to become disciples of Craftsman Master. Reaching the foot of the mountain, he built himself a courtyard house. Making weapons. He thought. As if. I cannot even handle a weapon that is of a slightly higher caliber, much less a pseudo-treasure. During the remodeling of the Yunmo planet ship, when I needed to imprint engravings, I had to engage the help of internal personnel from the virtual universe company. Luo Feng shook his head in resignation. He was a complete ignoramus when it came to weapons. He had zero knowledge. Compared to the numerous top-notch weapons geniuses gathered here from all over the vast universe, he could not help feeling ashamed. Standing before the entrance of his courtyard, Luo Feng looked at over 500 kneeling figures of various races, then turned up to look at the towering Craftsman Mountain. My initial plan was to ask Craftsman Master to take me in as his disciple, he muttered. After entering Craftsman Mountain, I could take my time to craft a plan to obtain the black metal board. But now it seems that, other than Craftsman Master and his disciples, no one is able to enter the mountain. And becoming his disciple is out of the question. What should I do? How am I going to obtain the black metal board? Luo Feng was frustrated. But even without a feasible plan, he was not anxious. He waited patiently at the foot of the Craftsman Mountain, observing the activities that took place around the area fastidiously, seeking the perfect opportunity. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. During that time, Luo Feng made acquaintances with the great beings of other races who stayed in the buildings around him. The great beings of other races were all universe knights, and there were quite a few universe overlords, too. Those who had stayed to wait all sought true treasures from the great Craftsman Master. A four-armed giant known as Chrysalis Knight, presently sitting cross-legged beside Luo Feng, sighed and lamented, "I am the leader of a race, so finding a variety of valuables for the race is my responsibility. Although I joined the 9-territory alliance, those of highest standing were universe masters. I am only a universe overlord, so the resources I have were far inferior. For great beings of races with universe masters, 3 top-tier series of treasures can be exchanged for an ordinary true treasure. For me, I will need 4 top-tier series of treasures." Chrysalis Knight shook his head. "And this is only one of the many examples of unfair treatment. I am ever at a loss." Luo Feng nodded in sympathy as he listened. "Things are different for the pinnacle races," the four-armed giant said, shaking his head again. "The 6 pinnacle races, with their overwhelming power, countless valuables, and great beings, enjoy a blessed life. When they exchange valuables internally, no one experiences unfair treatment. But for races like mine, where I am the sole universe overlord. Humph. Remote ocean Luo Feng, should there come a day that I am killed, please help me. Please help my silk and rock race to live on and pass on its legacy." Luo Feng replied, "Chrysalis Knight, don't talk like that. Should death befall you, the 9-territory alliance will resurrect you. But if you really need my help, I will reach out to you." Chrysalis Knight was one of the great beings here whom Luo Feng had come to befriend, and he was one of the few Luo Feng got along with fairly well. He was the honorable leader of the Silk and Rock race, and if he did fall, the entire Silk and Rock race faced the risk of dying out. Chrysalis Knight needed to take care of his race. As such, he was unwilling to exchange his treasures with the 9-territory alliance for true treasures. He would only stand to lose. "I can only approach Craftsman Master with my plea for help," said Chrysalis Knight. Craftsman Master, with various materials obtained from treasures, could make a true treasure. This would be much better than exchanging treasures within the race. Chrysalis Knight sighed. "This way, I would still be able to retain a fair bit of resources for my race. With the race developing, I can also grow stronger. Only then will our future generations continue to grow." Luo Feng was full of admiration. His capability was considered strong, yet he did not have any such responsibilities. Humans, as a whole, were very much stronger and more dominating. Although there was little difference between him and Chrysalis Knight. Chrysalis Knight had to shoulder the rise and fall of his entire race. Shi Luo Duo, who had the capability of a universe overlord, held a fate somewhat similar to that of Chrysalis Knight, thought Luo Feng. While Shi Luo Duo was with them, the Golden Horned race was able to stand as an independent race in the universe. Yet the moment Shi Luo Duo was killed, the Golden Horned race could only rely on stronger great beings for survival and became a vassal race. As Luo Feng and Chrysalis Knight were chatting, a voice suddenly exclaimed, "Look! Those are Craftsman Master's disciples." "It's Craftsman Master's disciples," someone else shouted. Luo Feng and Chrysalis Knight stood up at the same time. From the palaces and buildings around them, knights of various races stepped out. They were all there seeking true treasures. The number of figures emerging, at one glance, numbered several thousand. These great beings all yearned for the same thing: to engage Craftsman Master's help in making true treasures. Such true treasures would be comparable to those obtained through trading within alliances, but at a much lower price. Thousands of knights, some burly and others petite, some hairy and others metal-plated, all flocked toward the figures approaching the ground. The handful of figures landed. "Dear brothers," said a great being from the 500-plus great beings kneeling on the ground, speaking in a respectful demeanor. "May I ask, when will Craftsman Master meet us?" "What's the rush?" one of Craftsman Master's disciples answered. "Master has gone visiting. He may not return for thousands or tens of thousands of years. Enjoy the wait." Following his response, the disciples rapidly transformed into rays of light and made a speedy departure. "Visiting?" Luo Feng said, squinting into the distance. The great beings conversed excitedly among themselves. "Meeting a friend. Craftsman Master is meeting a friend, so we're just going to wait here and do nothing." From my perspective, we should go to the original stars first, and perhaps we can get something precious. The original stars will stay open for 1,000 eras. It's only just begun. We have plenty of time. That's right. We don't need to rush now. Let's ask Craftsman Master to help us make a true treasure, and then we'll go to the original stars. We can get more valuables with the true treasures. Let's go. No, let's wait. The great beings of other races from various territories in the universe were quite disappointed and started to go back to their residence. All 500 of the great beings kneeling at the foot of the mountain were upset as well, but they continued groveling and didn't dare stand up. They believed that there were great beings watching their every move, reporting back to Craftsman Master. Sincerity was of the utmost importance if someone wanted to be a disciple. One might be eliminated if he wasn't sincere enough while groveling. Let's go, Luo Feng, said Chrysalis Knight. We might need to wait for thousands of years for Craftsman Master. Okay. Luo Feng nodded, smiled, and walked back with Chrysalis Knight. He stood in front of the door and looked up at Craftsman Mountain. Meeting a friend, thought Luo Feng. Does that mean Craftsman Master is not here? His eyes gleamed. A great opportunity. He had been waiting for half a year, but it was still impossible for him to get the black metal with Craftsman Master guarding the Craftsman Mountain. Craftsman Mountain is the sanctuary of the entire planet, and Craftsman Master lives here, Luo Feng thought. Only Craftsman Master and his disciples can live on the mountain, while other great beings were not allowed without permission, which means there are only a few great beings on Craftsman Mountain. As for his disciples, no one is a universe master, based on the information I gathered. Craftsman Master had 182 disciples in total. Some disciples were universe knights, and some were undying. Although Craftsman Master only picked those who were highly talented, none of his disciples had reached the level of universe master. One of the reasons was that it was exceedingly difficult to become a universe master. Another reason was that his disciples devoted most of their time and energy to making weapons, and hence, they didn't get enough training. Nobody can stop me if there are no universe masters, thought Luo Feng. But I still need to be careful. It won't be easy to get something from Craftsman Master. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Luo Feng was afraid that Craftsman Master might come back if he didn't act in time. So when it turned dark, he sent Mosha Body carrying his original Earthling body. Mosha Body was the best at fleeing and hiding. The original Earthling body had the same level of combat power as Remote Ocean Body, which was why the Remote Ocean Body was waiting at the mountainside and observing how everything went while the original Earthling body and Mosha Body started to climb the hill. Mosha Body shrank to the size of an ant and stood beside a stone on the hillside of Craftsman Mountain. He looked up at the towering Craftsman Mountain. Craftsman Master, Mosha Body said, stepping forward. He teleported himself to the depths of Craftsman Mountain. He was able to teleport himself and match the space ripples without being noticed by universe knights. He arrived at the closest spot to the valuable after just 2 teleportations. On the hillside of Craftsman Mountain were numerous gigantic caves billowing steam exceeding temperatures of 1,000,000 degrees. The steam flowed around Craftsman Mountain, and the energy contained in the steam was equivalent to that of a star. Every cave glowed red in color. Mosha Body, under a rock, didn't care much about the steam. The energy of stars was nothing to him now. Space seal. Mosha Body thought. Around 1/10 of Craftsman Mountain is enveloped by the steam, and it is under space seal. It means this is the center of Craftsman Mountain. As Mosha Body watched, 2 towering beings suddenly walked out of one of the caves. One of them was around 70 feet tall with 4 claws. Various patterns coated his naked body. The other was around 300 feet tall and had thick arms. The 2 of them walked out together, and Luo Feng could tell from their power that they were both undying. It's too hot inside, the 4-clawed creature exclaimed. We couldn't even stand it for a second. How are we supposed to make top-tier treasures if we don't have enough time? We're just not strong enough, replied the other. Look at our universe knight-level brothers. They are able to make weapons at the center, and they can keep trying. Especially our ninth brother. I really admire ninth brother. Not only is ninth brother a universe overlord, but he also has true treasure armor, and he's an energy life form of the fire category. He's able to go deep into the center to make weapons, and he has been bestowed some precious material used by our teacher. See. He's already made a senior true treasure, and he's second only to our teacher on the craftsman star. The towering creature shook his head and exclaimed, "It'll be much better if we can become universe knights." It's not that easy. The two undying fighters were not alerted to Moshe Body's presence. After all, there was no reason to expect that anyone would trespass on Craftsman Mountain. Moshe Body heard their conversation easily. The center. He thought. It seems most of their brothers are staying at the mountain center. He looked at the cave. And the center of the mountain is the center of the space seal. I can feel that the fourth black metal is at the center of the mountain. I need to be careful. I must not be discovered by the disciples of Craftsman Master. Moshe Body was careful. Although he was proficient at stealth, many of Craftsman Master's disciples were universe knights, or even universe overlords. Inside the space-sealed area, teleportation was not allowed. Moshe Body instead performed his inherited technique, domain, and went into a cave. The two undying fighters outside the cave never noticed a thing. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. It was blistering hot inside, and Moshe Body moved forward carefully. The cave was surprisingly deep, and the deeper he went, the hotter it got. Some rocks inside the cave glowed red with the heat. It was so scorching in here that Luo Feng thought sector lords might be killed instantly by the temperature alone. Upon hearing a series of rhythmic sounds, Luo Feng turned into a stone and rolled inside. Some of the patterns on the stone allowed for sight, and Luo Feng observed the distant places using them. The fire was surging. At the top of the fire, life forms of other races of all sizes used hammers to pound the metal, producing the sounds he had heard, hong. Pa. They are all undying, Moshe Body thought. My black metal is down there. He performed domain again, and traveled almost 6,000 miles down. He moved still deeper with domain and was able to avoid attracting the attention of the great beings of other races who were making the weapons. Luo Feng noticed something special about how the disciples of Craftsman Master made weapons. Those who were at the top of the flames used a strange type of hammer, while those in the middle of the flames were universe knights, who used hammers of different sizes, and needed to wield them using their godly power. As for the bottom of the fire, there were only 3 universe knights. One of them was the ninth brother those two undying fighters had talked about. Apparently, the fire intimidated all ordinary universe knights. It's right down there, whispered Luo Feng. My black metal is right down there. He hid beside a rock, camouflaged as a small stone. I can sense clearly that the black metal is above the 3 universe knights at the bottom. They might notice me if I go there. What should I do? Luo Feng grew anxious. He could sense that the black metal was around 180 miles away from him, and the 3 universe knights at the bottom were also around 180 miles away from him. That meant the black metal was close to the 3 universe knights. Just wait, Luo Feng told himself. I bet they won't keep making weapons here for long. Luo Feng watched the 3 beings in silence. Although Luo Feng didn't know anything about weapon making, he was still amazed at how the 3 universe overlords made the weapons. It was an art. The 3 universe overlords only used strange hammers at different sizes, but the hammer wielded by that ninth brother was unique. It looked fierce enough to shatter the universe, yet as mild as a breeze. All the materials it touched mixed with each other perfectly, and the scene was breathtaking. After more than a month, the ninth brother ceased his work and announced, "Ha ha. The top-tier set treasure is finally finished. If the material were good enough, I could have made a true treasure. Congratulations, ninth brother. Congratulations." Ha ha, he laughed in triumph. Now, I'll go and have a rest. Sounds good. Let's go together. Let's go. With that, the 3 universe overlords finally went to rest. They flew out of the flame like beams of light. After they disappeared, Luo Feng turned back into a human form, robed in black. Finally, he said, looking down at where the black metal was. In the twinkling of an eye, the black-robed figure of Luo Feng transformed into a rush of black current, and condensed into a stone. Thereafter, he fell directly toward the bottom. As the stone fell, it bumped its way down into the deepest depths of the mountain. The stone rammed into the red-hot stone wall and finally came to a halt. Then the stone transformed back into the black-robed form of Luo Feng. "I've arrived," he said, taking in the view before him. He could not help exclaiming, "So beautiful." This was the bedrock of the mountain. He could see a strange, black matter about 6 miles ahead. It hung suspended in the air, standing than 10 feet tall, and in the shape of a gourd-class object. As this black gourd hovered in mid-air, its mouth facing upwards, it spurted endless flames that spread outward, nearly filling up the entire mountain. Disciples of Craftsman Master, who were undying beings and universe knights, created weapons forged by the heat of these endless flames. As the black gourd hovered in the air, there were invisible connections all over the place, like lengths of chain that could not be seen by the naked eye, connecting the mountain with virtual space. Although these chains were invisible, there were traces of flames strung onto them. They came from the surrounding space and moved inward, directly into the gourd's mouth. "There are a total of 36 virtual chains," said Luo Feng. He frowned inwardly. "This black gourd seems to merge with the limitless space here. And through this limitless space, it absorbs and stores energy from the flame continually. Is that how it maintains its ability to produce eternal flames?" Luo Feng was master of Star Tower. Star Tower absorbed energy from the vast universe to continue revolving, and so, looking at this black gourd, based on what he knew, Luo Feng was able to make a similar judgment quickly. Unquestionably, the flames near to the gourd's mouth will require the power of a universe overlord to ward off, he said. These endless flames spread out almost 100 miles away. Every individual flame is strong enough to annihilate an eternal star. With such energy is being released continuously, there must be a source where it comes from. Luo Feng could sense that the energy of these endless flames was being continuously transmitted into the black gourd through the 36 virtual chains. Space transmission, wondered Luo Feng. What method is Craftsman Master using to maintain such an energy-consuming process? As a master craftsman of true treasures, he wouldn't be so foolish as to use up his own energy so relentlessly. There must be a source, like Star Tower, to maintain such strong energy. Luo Feng's eyes lit up as the realization dawned upon him. Of course. The Craftsman Star. Only the Craftsman Star can do that. Craftsman Star is the greatest true treasure that Craftsman Master ever created. With its massive size, it can absorb the limitless energy in the atmosphere of the entire virtual space. Could it be that the star absorbs and internalizes the surrounding energy, then transmits the energy to the gourd? This gourd. It could be a part of the Craftsman Star. After a few seconds of observation, Luo Feng had deduced the truth. Craftsman Master had made the Craftsman Star for 2 reasons. One was to build a protective home for himself. The other was to construct a primary tool for creating true treasures. The entire Craftsman Star would be used to absorb limitless energy and continuously churn out flames, which were drawn to the black gourd for the forging process. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone, said Luo Feng. Just by modifying the massive Craftsman Star, he was able to achieve this effect. In fact, with Craftsman Master's ability, it would be a piece of cake. He stared at the black gourd. I can sense that the black metal board is inside that black gourd. What should I do? Take the gourd away. The thought crossed his mind, but he banished it instantly. It was a laughable idea. The black gourd was a part of Craftsman Star, it was a subject with a master. Craftsman Master would certainly know if he were to take it away. More importantly, Luo Feng was not the master of Craftsman Star. If he wanted to take the black gourd, a component of it, he would have to take the entire Craftsman Star. Given the weight and power of Craftsman Star, he might as well have tried to move Thousand Treasure River. Even a universe master wouldn't have been able to make it budge. In this way, it was just like Star Tower. If it were to completely unleash its power, even a universe supreme master would not be able to take it away. I'd better not move the black gourd, Luo Feng told himself. I should not act rashly. The gourd's mouth will always be open to spurt out flames. But if I follow the path of the flames being drawn into the gourd's mouth, there's no reason I should meet with any obstructions. Still, Luo Feng was not so sure. He wondered whether the gourd was empty on the inside or filled with even more terrifying flames. Heck, I'm going to go all out, he said. The black metal board is inside the gourd. I have to go in. The temptation was just too strong. In an instant, the black-robed form of Luo Feng's godly body split into two. One was his Mosha body, the other was his original earthling body. Mosha body shall try first. Right away, he used his talent technique, domain. In the blink of an eye, he was taking the path into the gourd through the gourd's mouth. Stepping directly into a bed of red-hot, endless flames, Mosha body did not even have a moment to look around, nor did it have even a moment to react before it was annihilated. Not even a strand of hair managed to make contact with the flames. Mosha body was gone in an instant, up in flames faster than it took a single strand of hair to burn. The moment a godly body entered, it was annihilated immediately, without a split second to react. Luo Feng studied the black gourd suspended in the air by the 36 virtual chains. Instantly, his body unleashed some godly power that rapidly converged to restore Mosha body. Mosha body might have been similar to his original earthling body in size, but qualitatively, there was a substantial difference. Only a small amount of godly power was required to restore his Mosha body. Time to let my original earthling body try, said Luo Feng. This godly body of mine is comparable to an ordinary universe knight. Luo Feng frowned as he took out a world ring and tossed it over to his Mosha body. At the same time, he also went into the world ring. Go. Mosha body immediately took the world ring and used the talent technique, domain again. Instantly, they made their way to the black gourd's mouth. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Inside the world ring. Luo Feng looked up at the sky to see the countless cracks on this side of the world. The next thing he knew, the world around him collapsed. Having briefly witnessed how terrifying the flames were, it was obvious that the material used to make the world ring was starting to melt. Then everything on this side of the world collapsed. The next moment, Luo Feng found standing right in the heart of the flames. This is the inside of the black gourd, he said. The moment he appeared in this flaming space, the first sensation he felt was scalding hot. He was reminded of how it had felt when he had first scalded himself as a child. Yet, given his willpower today, Luo Feng was able to suppress this bit of pain without difficulty. Black metal board, he said. Luo Feng felt as though every cell of his body was boiling. The feeling was insane. He lowered his gaze to the bottom of this flaming space. There were many various materials here, and all were very precious and unique. All were able to put up with the high temperature without any trouble. And among them was the black metal board. Asterisk 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 asterisk. At the foot of Craftsman Mountain. Everything was peaceful, just like any other day. Amid the countless buildings left behind by various great beings from all over the universe, remote ocean Luo Fe. Everything was peaceful, just like any other day. Amid the countless buildings left behind by various great beings from all over the universe, remote ocean Luo Feng stood at the door of his courtyard. Mosha body was annihilated in an instant, he thought. Its consciousness did not even have time to react. My original earthling body only managed to lower his head. Though it was only a split second, his consciousness was allowed a moment of thought. Remote ocean Luo Feng sighed to himself. This is so nerve-wracking, he whispered. No wonder universe overlords can only resist the flames from outside. The flames on the inside of the gourd are far more frightening than those on the outside. Luo Feng turned to go back into the house. He sat down cross-legged, to think in silence. The flaming space within the black gourd contains extremely precious materials. However, these may only be a portion of the materials craftsman master owns. Luo Feng understood that every type of material had different characteristics. Not every material was suitable to be stored within such a scorching hot place. This would be determined by the great being's natural instincts. Truly precious materials would be carried about by great beings so that they could safeguard them. My remote ocean body is much bigger than my original earthling body. The power of its godly body is much stronger, so I suppose it may be able to hold on much longer. Craftsman Master has 3 formidable disciples, the one called Ninth Brother, and 2 others who are currently not around. I cannot miss such perfect timing. Let's give it a shot. Luo Feng made up his mind. He divided some godly power and directed it to converge with his Mosha body. Then Mosha body brought his remote ocean body over to Craftsman Mountain, where they snuck in once again. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Mosha body snuck into the bedrock of the mountain easily for the second time, then stopped a distance away from the black gourd suspended in midair. Are the flames really that powerful? He muttered. I only need a small amount of time to grab the black metal board and fly out quickly. With remote ocean body, Mosha entered the black gourd once again. Inside, Mosha body was annihilated in an instant, as expected. The world ring melted, and the side of the internal world collapsed. The moment remote ocean body appeared, he lowered his head and accelerated toward the bottom in one swift dive. Black metal board. Endless, red-hot flames annihilated the godly body of remote ocean body in a frenzied craze by the time he had managed to cover only about half the distance. Before remote ocean body was able to get to the bottommost area of the flaming space, where all the precious materials were, it was destroyed. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Yin Fa Secret Region, 3,000 light-years from Craftsman Star. A universe planet ship hovered in mid-air. In the control room, an adorable golden horned beast, only 3 feet long, lay sprawled on the sofa. Its eyes were full of frustration, and it was mumbling under its breath, I knew it wouldn't be so easy. I knew it. Those frightening flames were much too powerful. Just like how a pinnacle emperor can easily subdue an official level undying with one hand, Craftsman Star has annihilated my godly body effortlessly. Remote ocean body was massive, it continued, but it only took a split second for it to be destroyed. The difference is much too great. No matter how much energy my godly body has, it is bound to burn. This power is more terrifying than the attack of a universe overlord, more powerful than the greatest attack by Chi Blood Palace leader. I'm sure it far surpasses the limit of defense of ordinary true treasure armor. Under such force, just as how Golden King armor's power was greatly reduced, to weaken it by 1/10 would be considered a blessing. Golden Horned Beast shook its little head and continued mumbling, even if the power could be weakened to 1/10, persevering would still be impossible in those endless flame. The fire within Black Gourd is more powerful than any other flames in the outside world. The outside world needs universe overlords who have ordinary true treasure armor. In that gourd, isn't it a must to depend on force armor? With my force armor, the strength of the flames could be reduced to 1 of 10,000. That would make things much easier. But if I fail, I would lose force armor, too. Golden Horned Beast lay sprawled in the same spot, letting out low growls intermittently. I knew it. It is not that easy. Not that easy. To bring force armor or not. To go or not to go. Luo Feng sat down on the sofa with a wine glass in his hand. Golden Horned Beast was also lay sprawled on the sofa. Both sat there, deep in thought. This video will end here.